Welcome back. Soup season is finally here, so I'm making a rich, creamy, hearty, and simple chicken vegetable soup from Venezuela called chupe. So to get started, we need to make a chicken broth. So to do that, I have a whole chicken that I'm going to butcher up into individual pieces. Now I want most of the pieces to be about the same size so it cooks evenly. I'm going to throw the whole thing, spine and all, into a Dutch oven. I'm going to add in the stalks of one bunch of cilantro. I'll season it with some salt. Cover that up with 2 liters of water. I'm going to bring it to a boil, and I'm going to skim off any scum that floats to the surface. Then I'll cover that up and let it go for about 30 minutes until the chicken is fully cooked. Once the time is up, we can remove the chicken from the broth and set it aside to cool off. Also remove those cilantro stems. We want a nice clear broth here. And we can set aside the broth as well while we work on the next step, which is making a sofrito. So into a saute pan over medium-high heat, I'm going to throw a few glugs of olive oil. And once that's heated up, I'll add in a diced up onion. Saute that onion for a few minutes until it starts to turn translucent. Then we can add in a couple diced up green bell peppers. And the easiest way I've found to dice up a bell pepper is to cut off each end, leaving you with a cylinder, which you can then flatten out into a sheet and slice and dice that portion. And then you can deal with the caps individually. Makes everything a lot flatter and easier to deal with. Add those on in, give them a good saute until they start to get tender. Then we'll add in a few minced scallions. I'm using the greens as well as the whites. And let's saute that for 5 minutes or so until everything is nice and soft and takes on a little bit of color and releases all its juices. Now that our sofrito is ready, we're going to transfer it back into the broth. Stir that in, and we're going to add in a couple of diced potatoes. Next up, I've got some corn. Now there's multiple ways you can do this. You can use canned corn, you can use corn off the cob, and you can use rounds of corn as well. I am opting for the second two. I'm throwing 1 ear of corn that I've cut into 2-centimeter rounds. Then I'm going to cut the kernels off of 2 other ears and dump those in as well. That way every bite of soup has a little bit of corn in it, but you'll also have the cob to munch on at the end. Now that our chicken has cooled off on the side, we're going to remove the skin and bones. You can go ahead and throw those into a zip-top freezer bag and throw them in the freezer for later. They still have a ton of flavor left in them and a ton of collagen and gelatin, so you can make an amazing chicken ramen out of that. And as for the rest of the meat, we're going to shred that into bite-sized pieces. And dump it into the soup with the rest of the vegetables. Let's season with some salt and pepper. Bring that up to a simmer, and we'll cook it for about 10-15 minutes until the potatoes are ready. At this point, we're ready to serve, so we'll transfer it to a bowl. Add in 75 milliliters of cream, as well as some diced up cheese. Traditionally you'd use queso blanco. I'm using halloumi, but you could really use any sort of fresh, unaged cheese. Mozzarella, paneer, anything like that would work. And finally we'll top it with some cilantro, and we're ready to eat. So this is kind of weird, but it's kind of good. The main flavors coming through are the cilantro and the cream. So it's rich, but it's fresh. It's hearty, but it's light. This soup is a paradox. It's an oxymoron, and I like it. and I think you will too. See you next time. Cheers.